Welcome, everybody, to the second episode of the Word Around the Ring podcast. Today, we'll be covering Monday Night Raw and Tuesday night's NXT as our Midweek Madness recap. My name is Big Rob, and I'll let my tag team partner introduce himself.
I'm King Jess, and we're the only podcast to openly believe in Joe Henry. We are in full swing post SummerSlam fallout, and buddy, it doesn't look like we're slowing down. Háblame, Roberto, because this has definitely been a few wild days following the PLE.
Yeah, no, it's been a crazy time in the timeline, and I'm just excited to get into this week's happening on Monday Night Raw. The show started with, of course, Gunther as our new World Heavyweight Champion. Thought it was a great introduction to him as our champ. They gave him the Cody Pyro show, which was fantastic for him. He also came out suited and booted, which I just truly appreciated. Just being I am a big Gunther fan. What I wasn't expecting out of this promo was the opponent that we're going to get for Gunther as we head into Bash in Berlin. I am truly excited to see this rematch here between Randy Orton and Gunther. We did see Randy interrupt Gunther's promo and let him know and remind him that although he did beat him at King of the Ring, he didn't really do so in a fair manner because, as we are reminded, during that tournament, there was a replay that towards the end of the match when Gunther was pinning Randy Orton, his shoulders were actually up. This was even addressed by Triple H post match, letting him know like it's the ref's final decision, and which is why Gunther ultimately was our King of the Ring. But I'm just excited to see them get back into the ring together. I'm excited to see how that match plays out and what's to come from this feud over the next coming weeks. Want to hear your thoughts on this feud and what was your initial thought when you saw Randy Orton come out of the entrance ramp?
First, I was surprised to see my boy Ludwig back because I love Ludwig. He was really impressing me post the draft. So I always love seeing more Ludwig. We actually got a match with them later on in the show, which I was surprised with because I didn't expect that I wanted a Sheamus versus Ludwig match, but we'll get to that. Gunther coming out first wasn't on my bingo card for the Raw after SummerSlam. I know we had talked about it early in the day, and we both said that Priest was going to come out. That obviously didn't happen. Gunther came out, and I thought because of Gunther coming out, then Priest would come out. But we got the big pop that Randy's going to be coming over to Raw for a bit, and he staked his claim for number one contender, leading into Bash at Berlin. If we're moving on from Priest and Gunther, I'm fine because we can always come back to that rivalry. And as we saw later in the show, Priest actually said, I could win the championship whenever I want. My business stakes right now with Finn. But other than that, yeah, Gunther coming out first was pretty sick to see, and seeing Randy to come out and challenge him was something that I didn't expect.
Yeah, I loved it, honestly. I was very pleased that we weren't gonna get the direct rematch between Gunther and Damian Priest. As you said, Damian Priest has other business to handle. The same with Roman Reigns in the bloodline. He wants to take care of the Judgment Day first before getting back into that title picture. And I don't really think that Damian needs the title currently, as we've seen him get over organically with the fans, and he got a huge crowd reaction yesterday as well. We'll get more into that as we cover Damian Priest in the Judgment Day. So I was extremely happy to see Damian Priest not interrupt Gunther, and we're continuing to move on and get Gunther's first opponent at Bash in Berlin. I think Randy Orton is going to be a great first opponent in this title reign for Gunther. Of course, I'm making my bets early here. I think Gunther walks out as the World Heavyweight Champion in Berlin at the end of the month. But what I'm more excited for is just this match. Randy was cutting this promo letting Gunther know that these fans deserve a modern day Flair and Steamboat. I wasn't around for the Flair and Steamboat rivalry, so I'm excited to see how this plays out. And one of the coldest lines in this promo to me was when Randy Orton let Gunther know, you consider yourself a legend and that's fine, and you call yourself a living legend, but my brother, I have made a career from killing legends. And you can just see Randy is starting to have that fun again on the mic, which excites me. And this is going to be a great feud. I hope they allow them to build this feud up as we continue for these next 2 weeks before Bash in Berlin. And I was also a little confused to see Randy on Monday Night Raw just because he is a SmackDown superstar. I can see they're already getting they're having leeway with the WWE draft. What are your thoughts on Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis allowing other superstars to go on the different brands there?
I think it just makes it fun for everybody because you do get to see these rivalries that you you could potentially say this person's hot on this brand, this person's hot on that brand. It sucks we're not going to get to see them at their prime um, compete against each other. But with things like this, we get a small glimpse into what could be, almost like a what if situation. And I think that's pretty cool. I'm down with it. Send more superstars. I love that they send superstars down to NXT and then bring them up to the main roster as well, back and forth, just establishing these feuds. So I'm all for it. I'm good with having the GMs trade people from time to time, as long as it's not permanent, because then that would take away from the draft. But if it's a temporary borrow to start a feud, get some eyes on that brand, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I can agree with that. If it's something temporary, I can definitely appreciate it, and allows for more fluidity throughout the two shows, and just creates a few more feuds that may have thought we wouldn't have gotten, just with certain superstars being on certain brands. So I'm excited that Randy Orton gets his chance here, and the story behind him tying John Cena for the most world champions is also exciting, and it makes this match even more believable. It makes it mean something for Randy Orton, and we're gonna have those pack of fans cheer for Randy Orton, as he is a future Hall of Famer, and they do want to see him uh tie or even break John Cena and Ric Flair's world championship records there. So it just adds another element to what's going to be a great feud between these two individuals as we head into Bash in Berlin.
Yeah, and like I said, this started off with Ludwig introducing Gunther, and Ludwig actually had a match tonight or Monday night scheduled against Sheamus. This wasn't a match that I was necessarily excited to see, but God, did these two definitely fucking bring it to the ring.
Yeah, definitely. Sheamus is always one that's going to be a hard hitting match, whenever he's in the ring. And Ludwig has surprisingly made a huge fan out of me, and I'm sure he's made a huge fan out of a lot of individuals and other people that were in the arena. Also, want to give a huge shout out to the Baltimore, Maryland crowd. They were fantastic from the beginning of the show all the way to the end. But I thought this match here was a pretty fun one between the two. For the majority of the match, Ludwig was dominating Sheamus, which I had appreciated, just because I think they had made a callback. Sheamus was actually the one that injured Ludwig, that sent him out for the last few weeks that he was off television. So to have him dominate the majority of the match, have a back and forth with Sheamus, was fun for me. But of course, I think the big way that this match ended and turned a corner was when Sheamus was on the outside of the ring, and he almost got ambushed by none other than Pete Dunne, who he's had a focus on Sheamus for the past couple weeks, going back to the Brawling Brutes days. But Pete Dunne tried to attack him with a shillelagh, but of course Sheamus saw it coming and he was able to counter. Kaiser almost took advantage here of the situation, but Sheamus was able to hit him with a running knee, followed by a broad kick, and won the match. I thought this match was very enjoyable. Love seeing Ludwig Kaiser back on TV, and I do love his Gunther intro that he does. So glad we were able to see that as well to start the show. What I wasn't a fan of was Ludwig ultimately losing here, just because it was his first match back from injury. I did want to see him go over Sheamus, especially if we were going to have that Pete Dunne interference. I thought that would have been a perfect moment for Ludwig to get one over on Sheamus, and for Sheamus not to lose cleanly, but still take the loss, and continue to build some momentum for Ludwig there. How did you feel about this match, and as our first match of the night?
I think the loss was necessary only so that in the span between now and Netflix Raw, we can get Sheamus versus Pete Dunne over with, because I'm pretty sure what we want to do is open up Sheamus for Monday Night Raw on Netflix so he can chase the IC belt. Because like we said before, they have made it prevalent that he's won every title except the IC belt, and right now I don't see a way to fit him in. If we can get past the Pete Dunne storyline, like I said, it's gonna take some time. We're gonna need some time. If we give it till the end of the year and then we start setting up mid January for Sheamus to go for the IC belt, I think that's a perfect way to transition him into that picture. Because, like I said, we don't have a way to transition him in right now. On the match itself, like I said, Ludwig, always love seeing Ludwig. He's impressed me post draft. He's come in and every opponent that he's faced, he's shown out on. Maybe not necessarily won every match, but he's definitely impressed me enough to keep an eye on him. Sheamus, he came back from injury, I think, recently. I know definitely he recently came back, And I know time away from the ring can build up some ring rust, but it looks like he's finally shaken all that ring rust off. He looked amazing in this match. He hit um Ludwig with an Irish curse. That thing keeps looking nastier. That's going to be a definite secret weapon in his arsenal for when he gets that IC belt. But overall, the match was great. I enjoyed watching these two wrestle, and hopefully in the future we see them wrestle more.
Definitely. And then just with the Pete Dunne and Sheamus back and forth here, do you think this will cultivate in a match at Bash in Berlin, or do you think they're going to push that forward post Bash in Berlin?
I don't really know what the card looks like for Bash in Berlin because we're still 3 weeks away, I think, from the event itself. And we just got done with SummerSlam, so they haven't really had enough time to promote the matches on that card. But if we have
Mhm.
space for it, I don't see why we can't.
Yeah, I just think it'll happen. Just them being, Sheamus being from Ireland, Pete being from um England, if I'm not mistaken. I definitely see them taking place and having a place on that card there. So just because they've already had these run-ins with each other pre SummerSlam, I think it may end in a match at Bash in Berlin. Maybe we even get a triple threat between these three there. Somehow, some way we can involve all three, as they'll be closer to their home countries. But definitely, in my opinion, I think that's where we'll end up at with a match for Amos and Pete Dunne at Bash in Berlin. Just being that they've been going back and forth with each other there. But following this match, we actually go right into Damian Priest, if I'm not mistaken. He walks out a post a Wyatt Six history lesson. We get a Wyatt Six video segment there that was pretty short, just focusing on their original introduction to the original Y family that was in the same city in Baltimore, Maryland, 11 years ago, which is where they had their in-ring debut. Post that quick video segment, we get Damian Priest walking out very angrily to the center of the ring. The crowd went absolutely bananas when Damian Priest walked out. You can see how he's organically built that fan base for him as a babyface, which is fantastic for him. Um, I thought he cut a solid promo. Many people seem to enjoy it online. I wasn't the biggest fan of the promo here. I'll get into reasons for that in a little bit. But what were your thoughts on Damian Priest, and how did you feel about him walking out as the second star on the show last night?
I do want to get more into the Wyatt promos when we head into the main event here because I do think that there's a lot more to talk about there, especially since, like you said, the birth being in the birthplace of the original Wyatt family and them finally creating this new Wyatt family or forming them finally inside the ring, in the same arena is kind of big. But we'll get to that once we get to the main event. Priest coming out here, I think this is something that I wish happened at the beginning of the show because this is definitely the big moment that everybody didn't see coming was the Judgment Day dismantling completely at SummerSlam. So Priest coming out here was kind of important. He came out here pissed. He was ready to take Finn's head off. Finn, of course, he phoned it in because why would a heel show up the day after a pay per view to face his opponent that he screwed over? Of course, he phoned it in and he basically laid it out for Damian Priest. He said, me and you aren't friends, and I'm gonna backstab you at every point that I can. So seeing a heel Finn, I mean, heel Finn is goaded. I want to see more heel Finn. So I'm excited to see where this match goes and when we place it. I don't know if we get a Bash of Berlin or if we hype this up a little more, but it'll definitely be interesting to see this move forward because, like I said, Priest isn't chasing the belt for now, and he really doesn't need to. So putting all his effort into getting his revenge against Finn will be kind of cool to see.
Sure. What I loved about this segment here was came mainly from Finn Balor's explanation on why he had broken up the Judgment Day and why he turned his back on Damian Priest. But Damian came out and he cut a cutting promo on Finn Balor and like letting him know that he made him feel like he disappointed his family, which was supposed to be the WWE fan base. And for someone like Damian Priest, you know that he can't stand that and he can't let that stand. And so therefore he's going to bring the pain to Finn Balor. So Damian was definitely playing up the crowd here, which I thought was great for him as he is now internally noted as a babyface. He kept making little remarks about the WWE fan base now being his family, which I thought was hilarious. Just gave me a little It reminded me of Dominic Toretto in the Fast and Furious series, where he just everything is about family to him. So I thought that was funny to me. But then, of course, Finn, as you said, phoned in and let him know that the reason why he did this is because Damien had ultimately brought all of this upon himself. They weren't supposed to be any leaders on Judgment Day, but that all became true when Damian Priest had become champion. And even reminded Priest of what he did to him at SummerSlam 2023 when he costed Finn the match against Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. And for those of you who don't remember what happened in that match, the original match was Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. At the time, Damian Priest was holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. So towards the end of the match, Finn almost had the match won, and then of course Damian Priest had came out with the briefcase and kind of served as a distraction for both Finn and Seth, giving Seth the advantage to hit a curb stomp on the briefcase that Damian Priest had threw into the ring to sort of help Finn Balor. It costed him at the end of the day, and Finn was pretty pissed at the end of that match there. And even let him know, reminded Damian, what did you tell me when we were in the car on the way home following SummerSlam? You told me that I needed to get over it and man up. So Finn has been clearly building up this plan to ultimately create the demise of the Judgment Day, and I thought it was fantastic. And at the end of the video segment and video promo that Finn was cutting, Finn let him know that you're just a loser from the streets, and I'm gonna keep attacking you again, 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 and again and again. And it's not only gonna be me. And that's when the camera pans out, and the new Judgment Day stands besides Finn, which of course was Liv Morgan, Carlito, JD McDonough, and Dominic Mysterio. I thought this was just a fantastic segment for both Damian Priest and Finn Balor, and we're going to continue to see how that storyline builds out. You mentioned you're not sure if we're going to get that match at Bash in Berlin or if we're going to move it forward. I definitely see a match, a mixed tag match, maybe between Dom and Liv Morgan or Finn Balor and Liv Morgan versus Damian and Rhea Ripley. Not sure where that will happen, if it'll happen at Bash in Berlin or Bad Blood. Regardless, I'm excited for this direction that they're taking with the Judgment Day and the Terror Twins, which is Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. I thought this was just a fantastic segment from all parties involved.
Yeah, we finally got to see who Finn is taking over. And to be honest, I'm not going to call him the Judgment Day. I don't want to call them the Judgment Day because we've already had a Judgment Day, and it's not the original Judgment Day. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dub them the Emo Club because that's exactly what they look to me. Finn Balor sitting in the middle looking like Prince Devitt of the old days. But I love this. I feel like this is going to be a, with the results of the match later on, I feel like this is definitely going to be a rivalry that we see going on for the next couple months. Seeing as, like you said, Priest and Rey are now baby faces, so moving forward, they have to kind of dismantle the old crew that was. I also like that we confirmed that Carlito is still going to be around because that was a worry for me. I didn't know where he was going to go. I hope that in the Judgment Day divorce he got the PS5 like we saw some people mention on Twitter because he loved that thing more than anything. It's going to be interesting seeing forward because you got to imagine that they're going to put up their clubhouse somewhere and these two are going to have to run into it eventually. So will they destroy it? Will they just, snarkily pass by it? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how these two groups, not two groups, this group and these two superstars move on forward from here.
Definitely 100%. I did find it funny that many people on Twitter /X were saying who will get the PlayStation 5 or who will get Carlito now that there's a divorce taking place. I'm sure Liv Morgan will be buying the group more PS5s, more chicken nuggets, and maybe even an Xbox there. But no, glad Carlito still has a place on TV as his comedic timing is always valuable and he's always well placed there. And then following that segment, we get a quick behind the scenes segment between Adam Pearce and Bronson Reed. Adam was on the phone. I believe he was talking to Nick Aldis, making a comment on like, wow, what a great trade we've done or something along those lines in regards to Randy Orton and other superstars that may show up on Friday Night SmackDown. But Bronson Reed interrupts and tells Adam Pearce, I beat Sheamus last week, and why is he in a match and not me? He also lets him know, I see now I have to, if I have to get to the top, I have to create my own path, which of course we'll talk about in a few short moments.
Yeah, like I said, whenever young stars decide to seize the opportunity, it causes for great television. So seeing
Mhm.
him seize that opportunity later on in the show was amazing. It, like you said, we'll speak about it when we get there, but holy shit, was that a show!
Yeah, for sure. I'm very excited to speak on how he made his presence felt on on the Raw after SummerSlam there. But before we could get to that, there was a quick match between Lyra Valkyria and Shayna Baszler. They really didn't have much TV time here. The match ended very prematurely, just after 3 minutes of Lyra and Shayna going back and forth. Sonya and Zoe Stark actually got in the ring to jump on Lyra Valkyria once they saw Lyra had a little bit of the momentum and the advantage on their stud line team member. Um, Once they continued to try and beat down on Lyra, we heard Damage Control's music play, and they came out to save the day, which of course will further their upcoming feud against the stud line there.
Yeah, this is just setting up Studline versus Damage Control. This match in general wasn't something that I was looking forward to. This was definitely my go get a snack match because, like I've said before, the Studline just doesn't do it for me. Besides Zoe Stark right now, that's kind of showing out, and I'm starting to catch an interest in her. But apart from that, the Studline really doesn't do it for me. Damage Control does do it for me, but I don't know where the fuck they've
Mhm.
been. So seeing them back on TV, I want to see where we go from here, and I also want to know the time frame of when we get Oscar back, because that is one of the big reasons why I'm invested in Damage Control is Oscar. So going from here, I want to know how long before Oscar gets back, and what are your plans going forward? Damage Control, are we gonna go for the tag belts? Do you just want to come back and dismantle the stud line? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not totally sure, but what I didn't like about this was just giving Lyra Valkyria a 3 minute match. I'm a big fan of hers. I believe in her in ring ability. I want to see her more on TV and have more time there just to build rapport with the fans. Because she is somebody who I think will be a strong individual on the women's roster that's already so stacked. So would love to see her get a little bit more TV time than besides this little 3 minute match that they got here. But ultimately, they were just pushing Damage Control in the stud line feud there. Following that, on Monday Night Raw, we get something that I was dreading to see. We had talked about it previously on our own trial episodes here in regards to Karrion Cross, the authors of Pain and New Day. Karrion Cross had cut a quick promo just on the New Day and letting Xavier Woods know that he's given him opportunity after opportunity to join the Final Testament. But now, since he's failed to do so, they're going to witness the death of the New Day. Of course, we get announced that later on in the night, we'll see the Authors of Pain versus Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods.
Yeah, so I think the promo from Final Testament from Karrion Cross this week, I don't think it was bad. I know you're not gonna like hearing that because you don't like Karrion Cross, but I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was a pretty good promo. But again, this is getting dragged out. Finally, we got some resolution this week. We know where this is
Mhm.
going, kind of. But yeah, like this was being dragged out for way too long, and I was getting bored of it. And I'm glad that we finally have something going on with the storyline that can impact where the story goes from here. We can now branch out to different possibilities because it kind of seems that we might be getting a replacement member in the New Day.
Definitely. And then moving past that quick video package there, we get a backstage segment between Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile. Ivy Nile was originally made friends with the Alpha Academy, but she hasn't been seen next to them since the Creed brothers and Chad Gable have taken that mantle from the Alpha Academy. Maxine asked Ivy where has she been the last few weeks, why is she hanging with the Creed brothers, and that's when Chad Gable interrupts and tells Ivy to leave this loser alone and that he has a new team now with a new name, so they can keep the Alpha Academy for themselves. I thought this was a great precursor to what we learned later on in the night here, and a quick little segment between Maxine and Ivy Nile.
Honestly, I completely missed the segment. I don't remember the segment at all. So this is
Yeah.
I didn't watch the segment. I don't know why, but I didn't watch the segment. So that's kind of cool. I love Maxine. I know that they were trying to push her for a minute there as a wrestler, even though that she came in as just strictly a valet. I think I like her more as a
Mhm.
valet because she is someone that can wrangle someone like Tozawa and Otis. So seeing her on TV is great. I hope she does go back to the Alpha Academy and she does manage those two, because someone like Tozawa definitely needs a mouth. He's someone that comes from a foreign country and maybe his accent is a little hard to understand at times. So pairing him someone with Maxine is definitely a good choice.
Definitely, I would agree there, and I think she does a great job of being that mouthpiece for Otis and Tozawa, and always involving herself in great moments that gets the crowd riled up. She is beloved. She is beloved by the fans in the WWE universe. So glad they're continuing to place her in those segments there. Following that, we get into the nitty gritty, and we get to into a phenomenal segment, another segment that they had here on Monday night, that involves CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre. We go back into the middle of the ring where CM Punk is walking out with a big ass smile on his face. You would think that he fucking won on Saturday night the way he was smiling. So he gets on the mic and asks the fans, "You may be asking why I'm happy." Lets him know that he knows he lost and he knows that he didn't do what he had said he was going to do, but he's happy because he hasn't been in Baltimore in over 11 years. Punk also lets the fans know that he wasn't supposed to be back from his injury for 9 months, but he made it happen in 5, and that's why um he also lets the fans know SummerSlam was the start of his road to WrestleMania. Is his end goal has always been to main event a WrestleMania, which is why he returned to the company, which is exciting, an exciting prospect that we have there. And he also states that my summer of hate didn't start the way I predicted, but it's still summer, and I know this packed house would enjoy less CM Punk talking and more CM Punk fighting. And he calls out Drew McIntyre for round two. Surprisingly, we get Seth Rollins' music to hit, and that's when Seth Rollins walks out with a slow, methodical, and a pissed off pace. And what I found funny here was that Seth actually was sporting sort of like a cowboy jacket. And for those of you that don't know, one of the infamous CM Punk moments that we've gotten in the last couple of years has been when CM Punk and Adam Hangman Page cut a promo on each other in AEW, where Adam Page had gone off script and had called out CM Punk, which led to a spiral of issues there. But we won't touch upon that now. But I just thought it was a quick little nod there that I think Seth Rollins did purposefully, just being that he hates that guy so fucking much. But before Seth could get to the ring, he actually stops and he slowly starts to unbutton his shirt and grabs a mic that was placed in his back pocket. And he asks CM Punk, "You're in a good mood? Well, so am I. Because after 10 long years, it's finally time for me to put you in the dirt." And before Seth could actually get in the ring, we hear Drew's voice. And I thought this shit was hilarious because Drew said "oi," and it just reminded me of Billy Butcher from The Boys. And so he said, guys, what's with all the negativity tonight? It's about celebration. And Drew tells Punk, "You prove that you still got it, but you're no longer the best in the world. I am." And that's when things get interesting. And Drew McIntyre says, "Guess who's still in my corner, Punk?" And he raises his wrist to show his friendship bracelet. And he says, "Your stupid little dog, Larry, and your lovely wife, AJ." And that's when CM Punk runs to the ring, runs to the stands where Drew McIntyre was placed. And we see him chase him out of the arena. And that is when Seth is left in the ring alone. And of course, we get what I thought was the second moment of the night, the second biggest moment of the night, in Big Bronson Reed ambushing Seth Rollins. Just a complete fucking ambush out of nowhere from Big Bronson Reed. Seth was able to fight back a little bit until Reed hit him with a Death Valley driver, two sentons, and two of his infamous tsunamis, which is just a frog splash from the top rope. But of course, being that Bronson Reed is like 400 fucking pounds, that shit looked like it hurt. He left Seth Rollins destroyed in the middle of the ring. Bronson gets escorted out of the ring by security, but not before turning around and hitting four more tsunamis on Seth Rollins. This dude was going on a fucking rampage, bro. 6 tsunamis from the top rope onto Seth Rollins. It was so bad that Seth was actually bleeding from his mouth by the end of this attack. The crowd was fucking hilarious because they chanted one more time, which I thought was fucking great. And then even with blood foaming out of Seth's mouth, Bronson went for a 7 tsunami, but that's when they pulled Seth out of the ring before he could connect. No, I just went through all that story there. I want to hear your thoughts. What did you think about the CM Punk Drew Seth interaction? What did you think about the way this ended with Bronson Reed just destroying the living life out of Seth Rollins? Where do you think that those two go from there?
This 100% was the moment of the night. It definitely had the most impact for me, at least, of the night. CM Punk coming out as happy CM Punk is kind of odd because he's been so angry for so many fucking years. So seeing him in a good mood was kind of strange. I'm glad he's in a good mood because that means he'll be sticking around. They're gonna keep him happy here in the WWE for as long as they can. You mentioned Seth came out in a cowboy jacket. I didn't notice that, but that's kind of a cool reference. It's kind of a dig because, like we said, these two don't like each other. So quipping each other like that underhandedly is great. I always love to see stuff like that. Like you said, Drew came out from the stands. He didn't even come out from the main gateway, and him showing Punk the bracelet is really what sent Punk over. And like I said, it's something that we had to keep an eye on because he did take it at the end of his SummerSlam match. Again, which he didn't need to. I thought we were done with that, but I guess we're not. And I honestly wanted to see Seth go against CM Punk, but after the actions of tonight, I'm not so sure. I think I want to see Big Bronson Reed versus Seth for a hot minute. I want to see these two completely just go at it because Seth is gonna have to play almost like I said last week, like a David and Goliath scenario where he's gonna come up short a lot. They're gonna build Big Bronson up. He was picking up steam before WrestleMania, and then due to certain circumstances, he missed a couple dates, and I think that steam kind of went away. But now with this, we can build it back up and really get him in there. And I think there's no one perfect for him to work with towards this build than Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins is an amazing athlete.
100%. Seth is one of the best in the business and the best in the WWE, a future Hall of Famer. And it excites me to see Bronson get this shining moment. And just the crowd was so into this destruction of one of their favorite superstars. Even though it was Seth Rollins, they just were really enjoying the brutality that Bronson was showing there, and taking him seriously was fantastic. He's one of the younger stars, of course, and seeing him build that rapport with the crowd, build that heel, the ultimate heel level that he can show just with his sheer size and strength was fantastic to see on his end. And he's let Adam Pearce know, I guess I got to take this shit into my own hands, and that's what he ended up doing to Seth Rollins. And I do think that we're gonna get Seth and Bronson Reed. I think that we're gonna get this match. I know I've been calling these Bash and Berlin matches very early, and we're fucking 4 weeks away. And I think that we're gonna get Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins in a pay-per-view event, very similar to what we got at 2023 Backlash, which was Seth Rollins versus Omos. I heading into that fucking match. So what the fuck is almost doing in the ring with Seth Rollins? You know, this 7 foot fucking giant of a man, who had just gotten his ass whooped by Brock Lesnar at the previous WrestleMania. 7 foot fucking giant of a man shouldn't be in the ring with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins shouldn't be in the ring with this guy. I'm worried for his health, worried for a potential injury there, being that Seth is so injury prone. But he has proven time and time again that he can work with the likes of anybody, even putting on a solid match with Omos. I think he'll put an even better match on with Bronson Reed, someone who is very skilled when it comes to his in-ring ability. And no, this was just a great build-up for Bronson, and I'm just glad they're building more and more superstars here, and not just relying on the stars that they've already established, such as the Seth Rollins, such as the Drew, such as the CM Punk. They're taking their time and energy and putting it forward, new and young talent, which is very exciting for me and should be exciting for the rest of the WWE universe, because this is how you build more competition. Just imagine following this feud, you get a Bronson Reed versus a Braun Breaker. That's a possibility there. These are all new opponents, new superstars that are continuing to be built up, and this was just a fantastic segment. Wasn't my segment of the night, but we'll get more into that later. But shout out to Bronson Reed, just a great fucking outing there. What a way to put your foot in someone's ass.
Yeah, CM Punk versus McIntyre is still going to be exciting. It's still going to be interesting to see where they take it, since we have already seen this match recently at SummerSlam. But the big match here is definitely going to be Seth Rollins versus Big Bronson Reed. Big Bronson can only go up, and Seth Rollins can only help him get there. So these two being put together in a match, I'm all for it.
100% excited to see that, and when it's going to happen, I will bet $1 now that it will happen at Bash in Berlin. Following that
no more betting the
there,
house.
Yeah, no more betting the fucking house. Even though I kept the house with Roman's return. But following that, we get our third match of the night, which was the Authors of Pain, Akam and Razar versus the New Day. And we're reminded that Kofi has been out of action for a couple of weeks because of Karrion Kross. For the majority of this match, Kofi was the one in the middle of the ring, and he was getting his ass whooped by Razor and Akam. Once Xavier Woods was tagged in here, he was hit by Karrion Kross, who was just supposed to be on the outside of the ring as a manager. And just when we thought it was all over, we were going to get to the final testament, getting the jump on the New Day, we get a surprise from an individual many people may not be familiar with. Here came Odyssey Jones. He hit Karrion Kross on the outside of the ring, and Xavier rolled up Akam for the win there with the distraction. And that's when the Authors of Pain got upset and they tried to jump Xavier Woods, but not before Odyssey Jones got in the ring and defended Xavier Woods and picked up both Razor and Akam. And these two motherfuckers are like 6'6", 300-pound men, and he picked them up each with one arm. And he slammed them at the same time. Then Karrion tried to get back into the ring, but Odyssey Jones hit him with a spinning slam. And I thought the best part of this fucking segment here was the fact that I don't think anyone in the Baltimore, Maryland crowd knew who the fuck this guy was. But when he came out, he got a bigger pop than Karrion Kross. I thought that shit was hysterical. Do you think he's gonna be a New Day member? How do you feel about the potential of Odyssey Jones sort of replacing and closing the door on Big E? We know we've been waiting for Big E to make his triumphant return to the ring. Of course, following his broken neck, which happened a few years ago, we weren't sure if that was ever going to happen. And now we see Odyssey Jones kind of being placed in that replacement position for a Big E. Do you think he takes over that Big E mantle? How do you feel about this segment here and the new member of the potential New Day?
WWE doesn't surprise me often, but this week they surprised me a couple of times, not only on Raw, but also on NXT. And this was one of the big surprises because I was convinced that we were breaking up the New Day. Following Big E kind of reporting and saying, look, guys, it's not looking good. I don't think I'll ever return. And I'm okay with that. I thought that we were definitely seeing this turmoil between Xavier and Kofi that was being, kind of wedged due to Karrion Kross. I thought we were definitely going to get a breakup here and maybe Xavier go on to do his own thing or maybe even join Karrion Kross. But holy shit, was I fucking wrong. They bring in this big ass motherfucker, like you said, that carried these two other big motherfuckers with just one hand each. I think this might be the Big E replacement that they needed. Now, this comes in a weird spot because it makes me, even though my opinion as a fan is very minimal, I think that it makes me feel a little weird just because I don't know if I want to see someone replace Big E. But if they're doing this, obviously Big E has given them their blessing, and he probably even handpicked the person to replace him. So it'll be interesting seeing if he is going to be part of the New Day. I know they had a small segment after with the old Academy. It was like a nice little fun segment because these are two fun groups that hopefully maybe in the future we get to see interact in a rivalry that's not hate fueled, maybe something more of like a respect, hey, let's have fun type thing. We know the New Day is great for that. We know Otis and Tozawa are always down for that too. But yeah, this definitely wipes the landscape of what I had planned for them. So it's exciting. It's exciting at the same time, kind of sad because we won't be getting Big E back. But at the same time, if he's happy where he is, I'm happy for him.
100%. I also want to note that you brought up the segment that they had backstage, because when they were having this sort of celebration segment with Alpha Academy and the New Day, right? Kofi Kingston was having the time of his life with Odyssey Jones. He actually, that's when he told Xavier Woods, like, oh, me and Odyssey were in the gym. He was helping me with my rehab. And I told him that we may need help with the Final Testament. And Xavier Woods was kind of surprised. He wasn't expecting Odyssey Jones to show up at all. He was unaware. And that's when we kind of, not sure if you saw it happen, but Xavier Woods wasn't the most excited about this idea. He kind of was a little not, I wouldn't say upset, but he was more on the, he was definitely surprised, and he wasn't expecting a new friendship to come out of Kofi Kingston's rehab. But maybe that's a role that they play there. Maybe Xavier Woods isn't too happy about Odyssey Jones making an appearance and kind of placing himself in the New Day, as he may feel like that's a spot reserved strictly for Big E. So maybe Karrion Kross did win the war. He may have lost the battle and lost a few of them. Maybe he's gonna win the war and have, a potential Xavier Woods turn on the New Day. We'll have to wait and see if that happens there. But I'm not sure if you had noticed that in that segment there.
No, I didn't notice that, and that definitely presents now a branch of where we can take this. Like you said, what if he doesn't like it? What if he's on kind of on my side where he's like, this is kind of disrespectful, dude. I don't want to do this shit. And then he goes off with Karrion Kross. Who knows? Like you said, maybe Karrion Kross is playing the long game, and he's definitely winning it at the end of the day,
Yeah, maybe he's winning the war when it comes to Xavier Woods. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, he wins that war sooner rather than later, because I don't want to see the New Day versus Final Testament much longer.
Just don't
Following
make
that
it
match,
boring, and just don't make it boring. That's the problem, is that this feud was boring. Nothing. Honestly, I can't tell you one spot from a single match that they had. So just don't make
that's what I'm
it
saying.
boring. If you can make it interesting, we're all for it. But if you're gonna make it boring, of course I'm just gonna tune out when your segment comes on show.
100%, and that's why Odyssey Jones got a bigger pop than Karrion Kross has gone in the last 2 months. Even though no one knew who the fuck this guy was until Monday night.
Poor Karrion.
Or Karrion. But following that, we get a JD McDonough promo video package. Thought this one was a fun and solid promo. JD cuts a promo explaining how Damian Priest never really accepted JD McDonough into the Judgment Day, and Priest originally didn't want JD in the Judgment Day because he knew he loved the Finn Balor over everybody else. But now he's gonna get his revenge, and he's a tag champion now, and Damian Priest is just a loser. And of course, we come to find out that JD and Damian Priest was gonna take on. We're gonna take each other on later down in the night. But yeah, what were your thoughts on that quick promo segment there?
So it's funny to see JD have to, in a sense, work now, because you can't just hang out back and let the big boys do all the work. I have a buddy that I watch weekly all the shows with, and he hates JD. So my running gag right now is that I have faith that JD will be the ace in 2025, and that people will become fans of JD's in 2025. I fucking doubt that's going to happen, but I'm just going to throw that out there in hopes to, just make more people mad, because I know people aren't hot on JD. I think he's going to be the ace. And I think that this promo was good. It was a good promo. Between the two, I would have to say that, I know you're not going to like this, but Priest had the better promo. But JD, he held his own in promo.
Yeah, I think JD held his own. Priest just comes off like corny to me. I don't know what it is about it. It just comes off inauthentic. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being an asshole towards him. I don't like it, but I thought JD did solid. I am a huge JD believer. I think he's great in ring. Um, but no, I was looking forward to their match there, which we'll get into shortly. Following that segment, we get our fourth match of the night, which was another quick one between A Town Down Under versus Awesome Truth. I guess this was one of the trades that Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce had made with each other, allowing A Town Down Under to show up on Monday Night Raw. They had a solid match. Nothing too special happened here.
Mm-hmm.
A Town Down Under did win the match after R-Truth screwed up, of course, where he tried to hit John Cena AA on Grayson Waller, but he inadvertently knocked The Miz out throughout the process. And that's when we found out that Austin Theory was the legal tag partner. He hit R-Truth with his finisher, A Town Down, and won the match for him and Grayson Waller. And then we see The Miz sort of get back into the ring, kind of like shake up R-Truth, like, yo, what are you doing here? Like, you can't be fucking up like this. I think the seeds are slowly being planted here for another Miz turn on R-Truth that will eventually get. He's gonna get tired of R-Truth always screwing something up, always being a little too comical. We'll get that sort of later down the line because there hasn't been too many seeds planted, but they are starting to grow a little bit and fester that relation in that relationship there. What did you think about this match and the Miz and R-Truth?
Damn, I didn't have it marked like that at all. I actually, the match in itself kind of boring. I love R-Truth and I love Miz, but A Town Down doesn't do it for me. The only thing I had written down for this match was, "Hey, look, Awesome Truth has a new T-shirt. They're gonna be sticking around together for a while." But now you're kind of predicting that they're not, so that kind of throws a wrench in my dream wheel right there.
I think they've had that shirt for a while. I'm not
Really?
too sure.
It
I feel
felt
like I've
like it
seen
was a new
R-Truth wearing
one.
that.
Who knows?
I feel like it. I feel like R-Truth has been rocking it for like the past month or so.
Well, they all have
Heading
like
into
similar
SummerSlam.
designs though.
Yeah, that is fair. But nah, I don't think this is a group that lasts too much longer. Miz has always kind of been like upset at R-Truth for doing too much, being a little too funny, not focusing on the task at hand, involving himself with the Judgment Day, etc. I think at some point the Miz is always going to turn his back on R-Truth as he done before when they were previous tag partners years ago. Um, I thought they were going to actually play the Austin Theory and Grayson Waller relationship issues a little bit more forward, but I guess they didn't. I feel like this is the first time they've won a match in a very long time. But we'll see. I'm hoping for an Austin Theory face turn in the near future. I think he's going to be a great face, and he's just a he's one of those individuals who is authentically a great in person and just gets along with the fans outside of the TV time that he gets. So I'm looking forward to seeing him get turned on by Grayson Waller as well in the near future. Following that, we get Braun Breaker backstage with Kathy Kelly as she interviews him. Braun reminds Kathy that he's only been in the WWE for 3 years, and in those 3 years, he's been able to become one of the youngest intercontinental champions in the history of the WWE. And he is the hunter and will never be the one being hunted. So he calls out anyone who is interested in taking a chance at his championship and reminds them that the nameplate on that intercontinental champion it will say Braun Breaker for the future to come. And I thought this was a great promo on Braun. Although we didn't get him in the ring, I thought it was a great way to sort of establish that dominance and remind everyone that he is now the Intercontinental Champion. He is a fucking beast. So excited to see who is going to be his first feud. But we actually found out later on in the night that Sami Zayn will get his rematch next Monday in a 2 out of 3 pinfalls match, which is very exciting for me. What are your thoughts on Braun Breaker's interview with Kathy Kelly and the Sami Zayn rematch that we're going to get this upcoming Monday?
I love seeing that they focus a little bit on Braun Breaker at the beginning of the show as well, showing him coming into the arena, kind of like they do with other superstars in the manner of um, sports athletes and how they do it on their shows. I like that they actually showed him coming into the arena with the belt. I thought that was cool. This promo was great. I think Braun Breaker's really gonna come to his own with this belt, and he's gonna push himself even harder. I hope that he's a fighting champion. I really do because I don't need them. I don't need to see them defend the belt every week, but I need to see you defend your belt constantly, or at least when you're getting called out, because it shows what kind of champion you are. And I think in the next couple of weeks we're going to be learning what kind of champion Braun Breaker is.
For sure. And we already see that he's giving Sammy his rematch. So I think he's going to be defending this title more often than not. What excites me more about the rematch is it's going to be a long one, a 2 out of 3 pinfalls match. I don't know the last time we've seen that happen on a TV taping of a Monday Night Raw or a Friday Night SmackDown. So definitely excited to see that match there this upcoming Monday. And of course, I'm gonna have Braun winning that 2 out of 3 pinfalls, and then that will lay Sammy to rest in terms of him wanting to regain the Intercontinental Championship, and that way he can move forward in regards to other storylines that he may be participating in. But following that segment and interview there with Braun Breaker and Kathy Kelly, we get our 5th match of the night, which was a great one. Damian Priest versus JD McDonough, who was accompanied by Carlito. Before the match started here, Damian Priest actually cut a video package promo on JD in response to his promo on him earlier in the night. He lets him know that he's right. He didn't want his weak ass in the Judgment Day, and he hopes he confessed his sins yesterday because he's going to pay for them today. That was probably the best fucking quote of Damian Priest last on Monday night that I enjoyed. I was like, all right, that was a bar. I'll give you that bar, Damian. But this,
Yo, the
this
Latino
match
hate is
started.
ridiculous.
Nah, it's not even that, man. It's just he's just inauthentic to me. He comes off a little corny. I don't know. He reminds me of Dominic Toretto with his family shit. He had the black muscle tank on Monday with the chain, the cross chain. He's trying to be Dominic Toretto. I don't fucking know. That's what I got from it. Whatever. We'll see how he plays out. But I would say, great fucking match that him and JD put on. But the match starts with JD dodging all of Damian Priest's punches until he gets hit with a huge boot. And that sent him into a corner to get stomped on by Priest. Priest was playing up to the crowd through a ton throughout this match, grunting and roaring to the crowd as he's been doing recently. He hit a slam dunk on JD, which looked nasty because he had JD flying in the fucking air here. And just a few moments after, JD was able to gain his momentum, driving Priest to the corner, hitting him with stomp after stomp and a double drop kick while the crowd chanted JD sucks. There was a point in the match where JD and Damian were trading chops and elbows, and Priest, this was a crazy spot here. Priest hit JD with an MMA-like kick to his stomach, which sent him out of the ring, falling to the floor by the announce tables. And that's when Damian turned his attention to Carlito, chasing him around the ring, but Carlito escaped. I thought was hilarious. And then Damian refocused on JD while on the outside of the ring, but McDonough sent him into the ring post. He then ran into the ring and hit a suicide dive on Priest, sending him into the announce table. Following this, JD sent Priest back into the ring and kept the pressure on him, continuing to hit him with kicks, punches, and a barrage of different moves while trying to pin Priest. But he continued to kick out. JD was able to hit Priest with a nasty headbutt, and he has a big ass head, so I'm sure that shit hurt. That was followed by a moonsault from the top rope, but Priest kicked out again as the ref counted to 2. Priest then got up and hit a flatliner on JD, getting the momentum on his side, but JD kept slapping him until Priest hit him with a kick, a forearm, a punch, followed by a big splash into the corner and a broken arrow. JD then headed outside of the ring, but Priest runs and pushes him on top of the announce table. Priest sets up McDonough into the ring and hits him with a crazy clothesline, goes for the South of Heaven, but that is when, of course, Finn Balor appeared from behind and began to rain punches on him, and they were disqualified. Priest tries to fight back, but that's when Dom, JD, Carlito, and Finn hold him down and start to beat his ass. Liv was also in the corner there cheering them on, and Priest fights back, and now we finally get a Finn Balor face to face with Priest. Priest goes for the Razor's Edge on Finn Balor, but Liv Morgan actually pulled Finn down, saving him. That's when Dom hits a chop block on Priest. Liv and Dom continued kicking him, and that's when Rhea's music actually hit, and we saw Rhea Ripley show up on Monday Night Raw for the first time at that point in the show. He's able to grab Liv Morgan while her and Dom are trying to run away, and she sends Liv into the ring post. Rhea then starts to clear the announce table and is about to go for a power bomb, put Liv through the table there, but that's when Dom actually comes back, saves Liv, grabs her before Rhea can connect. And that's when the camera pans to the middle of the ring where JD McDonough is still punching on Priest, but Rhea gets his attention and she turns the tables and headbutts him. And Priest then hits a nasty, probably the best south of heaven that I've seen him hit on somebody. Fucking breaks JD McDonough's back on the ring. And that's when Rhea and Damian hug each other in the middle of the ring, and the crowd goes crazy. I know that was a lot there. Great. I would say this was a fantastic match between JD McDonough and Damian Priest. I felt the hate between the two, especially when they were trading chops. What were your thoughts on the match and just the way the segment ended with Rhea and Damian Priest hugging each other and the crowd cheering them on?
It's funny that you bring JD's big ass head into this, because one of my notes literally says Terror Twins and it looking strong, laying out JD's big ass forehead. Nah, this was definitely Priest just fucking mollywhopping JD almost the entire time. I think he took out all his frustration and his anger that he had towards Finn, and he just laid it out on JD. I didn't expect Rhea to come out. I didn't even know if she was in the building, to be honest. But seeing Dirty Dino Nuggy Mysterio and Liv Morgan out there, I kind of figured that she might come out. She, like you said, she ended up coming out, and she got her hands finally on Liv for a little bit post her match at SummerSlam. But Dom, rescued her last minute. The Terror Twins are definitely gonna try and dismantle this group. They're gonna target every single member in this group one by one until they get the revenge that they feel they deserve. And I'm just excited to see, like you said, what kind of matches do we get out of this? Do we get tag matches? Do we get mixed tag matches? There's a lot we can do here. There's a lot of story that we can tell still between the Judgment Day.
For sure. I don't want people to forget, though. This is all Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley's fault. They are now being painted as the faces in all of this, as the good guys, when they weren't the good guys to start. This is karma biting them back in the ass. Because Damian Priest and Finn Balor were the reason that Dominic Mysterio had joined the Judgment Day. They had broken up the Mysterio family. They were beating on Rey Mysterio, beating on Dominic, telling him, join our group, trying to jump him into a gang. Then Rhea Ripley manipulated him. He never really loved Dom. He was just using him. And then she injured Liv Morgan. She turned her back on Liv Morgan when they were tag partners. And then injured her for 6 months. But now all of a sudden, they're the good guys. No, fuck that. I'm glad Dominic made the choice that he made. And he picked Liv Morgan because she is feeding him chicken nuggets, buying him PlayStations, and giving him the time of his life. While Rhea was just using him. And Damian was a piece of shit towards the group too. Once he won that championship, he let it get to his head. He thought he was the man on campus. And he was. But he forgot who helped get him there. He forgot that there were a group that weren't supposed to have any egos. They weren't supposed to have any leaders. Let's not forget, the Terror Twins are being painted as good guys here. But no. Don't get it mistaken. These guys were assholes earlier in this storyline. So I just wanna remind people, man, because people are quick to forget. But
I mean, if you want to take it even further back, fucking Damian Priest versus Finn, that was Damian Priest's first match. I mean, this has been fucking brewing for years.
Exactly. Nah, man, fuck that. Get your revenge. Let them know. Let them know what it is. I'm glad Finn Balor, Dom, and all of them are taking their stand because they deserve to do so. And I'm excited to see how it plays out. Definitely think we're gonna get some tag matches out of this, some mixed tag matches, which we usually don't get. The ultimate payoff is gonna be Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. Hopefully that happens at Bad Blood in a Hell in a Cell, where no one can walk out, where Finn will bring back the demon that we so much love and we're reminded of between us two, in that Bullet Club Balor. So keep on beating his ass, Finn. Fuck that guy. And Rhea, you injured Liv Morgan for 6 months. She had only injured you for 3. I don't want to hear that shit. But moving forward, after this segment, we get Damage Control, Dakota Kai, Kairi Sane, Io Sky, walking towards the ring to prepare for what was supposed to be Dakota Kai versus Sonya Deville, as she called her out the week previously. But before we can get there, the stud line actually catches all three of them backstage and starts to jump them. They injure Dakota's bad knee, again, causing her to be unable to compete in Monday night's match. Sonya then walks out with a microphone and says, I don't think we're going to see Dakota Kai tonight. He's under the weather. But of course, out walks the Queen of the Sky, Io Sky. And then we get our sixth match of the night, Io versus Sonya Deville. This match, I was excited to see Io Sky wrestle because we haven't seen her wrestle in a little while. Big fan of Io. We haven't seen her wrestle since at least on WWE television in a month or so. We've seen her wrestle at Mirror Gold, which I thought was a phenomenal match on her behalf. But they put on about a 10-minute match here. Not too many notes here, only because I thought this was a shit showing by Sonya Deville. There was moments in this match where she just didn't know what she was doing. It's very hard to make someone like Io Sky look bad in the ring. And I thought she did that shit well. And that shit pissed me off. If anything, you should have fucking put Zoe Stark in the ring there against Io Sky, because Zoe's been killing it in the ring. But to have Sonya come out here and sort of put on like a crappy match, it sucks, because they're women that deserve to be there. But it was a crappy, a slow match. There was a lot of spots that were sloppy. Didn't know how this match was going to end. It ultimately ended with Sonya going for a waist lock, but Io was able to reverse it into a stomp on her rib cage. Io then hit a bullet train, which is a double running knee. And that's when Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark try to interfere, but Kairi Sane stops them. Kairi and Io actually climb to the top of the rope, and Kairi hits an insane elbow on Zoe while Io hit a moonsault to Sonya and Shayna. And that's when Io sends Sonya back into the ring, and she hit another over the moonsault for the win. What were your thoughts on this match here? Just the outing by Sonya Deville and Io Sky. And I was a little upset that we didn't get to see Dakota Kai wrestle here too, because I'm a big Dakota Kai fan, but I'm also a bigger Io Sky fan, so I wasn't too pissed about it. But what are your thoughts?
I love Io Sky, so the replacement was perfectly fine with me. But like you said, it's kind of hard when you're working with someone like Io Sky that can definitely carry a match to still look bad, and Sonya definitely did that. She looked slow and stiff for me here, and I understand that that's going to be a problem post the return, but still, if you're going to interject yourself so much into these major storylines, or create these major storylines for yourself, at least have a good outing. I don't know what the fuck this was, but like I said, Studline right now is just not for me. I like Zoe Stark. I have my eye on her. She's slowly growing on me, but all the other ladies on the Studline just they don't do it for me. Damage Control I do like I said before, because they do have three of the top Asian talents in that faction, and I am a Dakota Kai fan. I liked when she was down with I can't remember her name, but she had a tag partner down in the Indies, and they came up in NXT together. Her tag partner sadly suffered a lot of injuries, so Dakota Kai had to kind of blaze her own path forward. So I do like Dakota Kai, and it sucks that we didn't get to see her in this match, but more Io is perfect for me. And like you said, the last time we saw her was at Marigold, so seeing her here back at home base, she showed out. It just sucks that it was against someone as sloppy as Shayna.
Yeah, for sure, as Sonya Deville there. But hopefully they get it together moving
Oh,
forward. We're
Sonya,
definitely
my
gonna
bad.
get no worries. We're definitely gonna get a 3-on-3 tag match out of this. Excited to see Damage Control back in the ring versus the Stud Line. We'll see when that happens. Maybe that happens next week or in the coming weeks on a Monday Night Raw. Moving forward, we get one of my favorite segments of the night, which was Sami Zayn and Dragunov backstage. They're having a quick little discussion where Sami tells Dragunov, "You're gonna make a fine Intercontinental Champion one day." He will, in fact, make a great champion one day. Not this day though, because that is Braun's reign for now. And then that's when Jey Uso walks into frame, and he starts to motivate Sam, reminding him of who he is, letting him know that he's going to get his rematch with Braun Breaker, and he's going to win that title again. And that is when Sami informs Jey that he's going to get his rematch against Braun next week. And then Jey lets him know, once you win that IC title back, We have unfinished business against the Judgment Day. And tells Sammy that he wants him and Sammy to win the tag titles from the Judgment Day so Sammy can be double champ. That's when Sammy lets him know that he likes the sound of that. I too like the sound of that, but I don't think that will be happening because I think we're going to get a potential bloodline interference when they go for those tag titles. Because the bloodline doesn't want anyone in their bloodline to have gold besides themselves. What were your thoughts on this Sammy and Jey Uso interaction? Uso is coming closer and closer to us as we move forward through the year. That excites me.
I had to text you and make sure you were still breathing after the segment because holy shit, this had Rob written all over it. Sami Zayn and Dragunov, that was great. I really do hope that the Dragunov in the future goes for a title run. I would love to see him even just in a feud with Braun Breaker during Braun Breaker's title run. But at the end of the day, yeah, this just jumps up more hype for a possible Sammy Uso return to the bloodline. And I kind of do want them to win the tag champs because I think that provides them with a bargaining token. I had brought it up to you before. If Roman Reigns is going to go out there and campaign for his old crew back, having them have the championship belts kind of sets them in a position where, like we've talked before, maybe Sammy isn't too sure that he wants back in, but Jay does. And now as tag champs, Jay kind of has to convince Sammy to join the family one more time for the inevitable War Games match that we might have. So I would like it if they had the tag belts. If they don't, that's no big problem. Like you said, it still pushes forward that bloodline storyline, the fact that they don't want anyone else to have gold. But this was definitely something that opens up a lot of possibilities for the upcoming shows leading into bigger pay-per-views down the year.
8%. I am just excited at the prospect and ecstatic that we actually found out that Survivor Series 2024 will be taking place in none other than Montreal, Canada. Sami Zayn in Canada. What bigger fucking pop would we get than Sammy making his long-awaited return to the bloodline? Imagine Sammy walking out with Sammy Uso, no longer the honorary Us. At that point, he will be an official Us. Fucking heart is already beating at the thought. Moving forward, after this segment, we get into the main event, which was so anticipated. I'm excited to talk about it because I don't think it could have gone any better. For the Wyatt Six, we get the in-ring debut of the Wyatt Six versus Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. So the way this match actually started was with Chad Gable and the Creed brothers walking their way through the locker room into Gorilla, cutting a promo, letting the Wyatt Six know that they're going to send them back to the swamp that they came from, that they will now be known as American Made. Before I get into the match, what are your thoughts on that new tag team title that they have announced themselves?
You mean the tag name? I like the tag name. It comes off hard. American Made. That's pretty strong. So I do like the name. I'm a big fan of the name.
Yeah, big fan of the name. I thought it was a great one as well. Very similar to American Alpha, etc., etc. But no, loved it. Thought it was a great one for them three. And now we know that they're going to be involved with each other for the time being, which is great. I think they're going to make a great tag team between them three. Push Chad Gable forward, which I love.
Yeah,
Let's get.
I was talking to one of my buddies with so many factions popping up, and you see all these trios and even bigger factions. I think it's time that we introduce a bigger belt, and by that I mean a 6-man tag belt. I think we have plenty of factions right now that we can make the landscape competitive for them to have a 6-man tag belt, and every other promotion seems to have one. So I think maybe in the future, it's something that WWE should discuss going forward.
Definitely interesting that you bring that up. Similar to the AEW Trios belt, I can see that playing a role in the WWE. And you're right, we now have the Wyatt Six, the Bloodline, American Made. Maybe we'll get a few more factions involved. The Judgment Day, of course. Maybe if we get one or two more factions that are strong.
You're leaving out your favorite one, dude. The New Testament.
fuck out of here. Yeah, but the Final Testament too, I guess, and the New Day. No, you're right. That's 6 factions that we just named. Maybe it is time that they bring on a trios belt. But we'll see if they do that when Monday Night Raw moves to Netflix. But moving forward with the final match of the night and the main event, the Wyatt Six enters the ring and they pay homage to Bray Wyatt immediately, with us seeing the rocking chair and the lantern in the middle of the entranceway, and Bray Wyatt's original theme song playing as well. And that's when all 5 current members walk out sporting their masks. They slowly walk to the ring. Bo Dallas and Abby the Witch stop before they get to the actual ring. Joe Gacy, Dexter Loomis, and Eric Rowan take off their masks and they run to attack American Made Dexter Loomis, which is now known as Mercy the Buzzer, and Chad Gable start the match, but Gable quickly tags in Julius Creed. Dexter Loomis immediately shows his power and strength, hitting 2 elbow drops, a leg drop on Julius, and tags in Joe Gacy, who's also now known as Huskus the Pig Boy. Gacy tags Loomis back in immediately, and this is when they start to catch real momentum. American Made goes to attack Rowan and Gacy in the corner, but Rowan fights back, and all 6 men get in the middle of the ring and trade punches. Gacy and Eric Rowan throw Loomis into American Made with a powerbomb-like toss to the 3 opponents on the outside of the ring. But that was a great spot. The Wyatt Six absolutely dominate to start the first 5 minutes of this match. They're not missing a beat at all. They all look great in the ring together and individually, especially Dexter Loomis. Shout out to him. He was fucking phenomenal. But after a commercial break, we find that Gable and American Made have actually slowed the pace down and turned all their focus on Joe Gacy. And that's when Julius Brutus and Chad Gable hit a triple moonsault on Joe Gacy and go for the pin, but Loomis interrupts. That's when Gacy gets up and is able to hit a double clothesline on the Creed brothers. Gacy hot tags Eric Rowan and he starts bringing the house down on all 3 members of American Made with clothesline after clothesline and a backdrop on Chad Gable. He then heads out of the ring and sends Gable face first into the barricade, sends Gable back into the ring and hits a nasty slam on Gable and goes for the pin, but the Creed brothers save the match. Gacy heads into the ring to help Eric Rowan and the Creed brothers start to beat up Gacy on the outside. But then the camera pans to Dexter Loomis standing on top of the ring post and he jumps on both of them. The camera focuses back into the middle of the ring. Gable hits a suplex on Eric Rowan. Gable crawls to the Creed brothers and asks for their help, but Loomis and Gacy hit a double Uranagi on the Creed brothers onto the announce table. Eric Rowan tags in Gacy, who then tags in Loomis, and then Gacy hits a powerbomb on Gable, followed by a strong frog splash by Dexter Loomis. Loomis goes for the pin, and they win the match. I thought this was a phenomenal showing for the Wyatt Six, especially for their in-ring debut. And what was so special about this was, if I'm not mistaken, 11 years ago to the date, was the actual in-ring debut of Bray Wyatt's original Wyatt family, which also took place in Baltimore, Maryland. Just the fact that this happened in the same arena, in the same city, the same month, lines itself up so well. It almost gives you goosebumps, you know? That's what we love about wrestling in general, just the ability to create those emotions and those once in a lifetime moments, such as that they did on Monday Night Raw with the Wyatt Six, and ultimately paying homage to Bray Wyatt, Bo Dallas's brother. What were your thoughts on this match, the ultimate in-ring debut for the Wyatt Six, and basically the in-ring debut for American Made as well as a tag team? Would love to hear your thoughts on all of this.
The whole night was a giant tribute to Bray Wyatt and the vision that he saw for WWE and his group going forward. And I think that Bo Dallas is doing a perfect job at bringing that vision to life here with the Wyatt Six. I wasn't too hot on the fact that they used the song that they used during the documentary that for Bray Wyatt, the one that they were using to promote the doc, because that eventually at a certain point it does get slow and is more of like a singing type song. And I think that for a group like this, you kind of need something scarier, something a little more impactful. I don't think the song does it for me, but the intro of the song is great, so I'll take it for what it is. I think that Dexter Loomis is definitely going to be the shining star in this group. He's definitely going to be the workhorse. He looks great in the ring. He pretty much was the hot man the whole time. Casey also showed out though. He reminds me of kind of like an early ROH indie wrestler, and that's something that we don't really see often anymore. Back in NXT, we had Sammy Callahan, aka Solomon Crow, who had sort of a similar style, and I love seeing that in someone like Gacy because it's something that we really don't have in the company right now. So it'll be exciting to see where he goes. Um, the matches that he gets put upon him through this Wyatt Six family collaboration, or joining of him being part of the team. Rowan also looked great. He's always been a great in-ring worker, though. I feel like people didn't give him enough. Um, they didn't get him enough props when he was around with the original Wyatt family, even when he went off in his tag run with Luke Harper. And I think that him coming back was a big move to kind of get this White Six started, because he is one of the original members of the group, and just seeing him kind of adopt a style that's more Luke Harper and even doing a Luke Harper move was sick, because I think Luke Harper would have loved seeing what was being done with the Wyatt Six and what Bo Dallas has been able to accomplish with them in such a short time. My big question from here, actually, I should say this before I say that. Both of them had great debuts, both the Wyatt Six and American Made. I think phenomenal debuts. I think Chad really has something cooking down there with American Made. So it'll be exciting to see who he ends up pairing with and rivaling in the future. But the big question is, where do the Wyatts go from here? Are we going to continue this with American Made, or do we move this on to someone else?
Yeah, I think that we still have some unfinished business with American Made. I think the end goal here is going to be Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy versus Chad Gable. Not sure when we're going to get that, but I think that's when this little feud will end, and then the Wyatt Six will be able to move forward from that. We also might even get, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, that Ivy Nile is linked to American Made now. So maybe we get Abby the Witch's first match versus Ivy Nile too. Just to start introducing these other individuals of the group um into the into the ring and see how they play out as well in terms of their in-ring action. I do want to bring up, they are called the Wyatt Six, and now we have all five members. Do you think there is a missing sixth member there? Do you think Alexa Bliss is going to return at some point as Sister Abigail, because she was the original Sister Abigail with Bray Wyatt when he was around? Do you think that is who they're saving that spot for, or do you think that's a honorable spot that they're leaving alone as Bray Wyatt being the sixth member?
I think since we're calling Abby the Witch Abby, I don't think we're gonna get a Sister Abigail. I think that the last one is just a honorary spot for Bray Wyatt. I think he is the sixth member, that spiritual force that drives them to do what they got to do, that is kind of teaching them the ways and the people that they need to go after. So I don't think we're getting a sixth member. I think that we get the five, and they'll some way work it so that it seems that from beyond the grave, maybe Bray's influence is helping out the group. But I don't see them introducing someone else. No.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you're right. It's just an honorary spot for Bray Wyatt there. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe in the future we do get Alexa Bliss back. Maybe she's no longer involved in the Wyatt family, the Wyatt Six. She leave that alone, being that she was so heavily involved with Bray, the originator himself.
Well, even Braun Strowman recently tweeted, and he said, "I'm staying away from the Wyatt Six, not because of what I think they'll do to me, but what they will unleash in me." So I think that we keep both of them away. I think we don't really need to see Alexa Bliss come and be a part of this, and I don't think we need Braun Strowman to come be a part of this. We can also go to a route that maybe Bray isn't the sixth member, and that we're splitting the personalities of Bo and Mr. Howdy. Mr. Howdy has a very shocking resemblance to Bray's face. So maybe in that sense, Uncle Howdy is the sixth member, aka the spirit of Bray that we're
Mhm.
talking about. You know.
For sure. No, all great points there. Overall, I thought, and I've seen many rumblings online, that this was one of the better episodes of Raw. Completely outdid Raw after Mania. I would agree. I think this has been one of the better episodes of this year, if not the best episode. I'd have to go back and what it what other Raw episodes they were up against, but from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. I was invested. I was in my seat. I did not get up, and it was probably the cleanest episode in terms of progressing stories, introducing new feuds with Gunther and Randy Orton, giving us the in-ring debut of American Made, the Wyatt Six, bringing back Damage Control as well, and continuing the story forward with the Judgment Day and the Terror Twins. Fantastic job that they did this week on Monday. I'm excited to see how all these stories play out moving forward and what is to come on Friday night SmackDown as well. What were your overall thoughts on the show in its entirety? Would you go so far as to say it was one of the better, if not the best, episodes of Monday Night Raw in the past year?
I think this was a great episode of Raw. I think it's a great post SummerSlam episode of Raw. A lot of people like to talk about the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. This year's Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania was a little lackluster, but I feel like they definitely recovered from that with the SummerSlam, with the Raw after SummerSlam, because you got that big show feel that you would get from a Raw after WrestleMania. Um, Overall, like I said, I think it was great. I'm gonna give it 4 yeets out of 5. I want to know what you gave it. I want to know what your final thoughts on the show was.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give it a 4.75 out of 5.
All
No,
right.
it's Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville. If it wasn't for you and that shit, I would have given it a 5. But you fucked that up for me. I'm sure for a few other people as well. Hopefully you can recover, and next week, prove the haters wrong, prove the doubters wrong. Remind everyone who you are. Show up in the ring ready to go. But I'd give it a 4.5 out of or 4.75 out of 5. Thought it was fantastic all throughout. There were no boring moments for me that really stood out. Each video package, promo had some meaning behind it. And fuck, how could I forget about the second moment of the night for me? I thought the best moment was, of course, the in-ring debut of the Y6. But man, Bronson fucking Reed, what a way to build your um a star in Bronson Reed, to build another heel there. I'm excited to see what comes from that in a potential feud with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins isn't gonna go out lightly. He's gonna come back, curb stomp the fuck out of Big Bronson Reed, probably in a match that he'll have next week. And we'll continue to see how that feud plays forward. But no, fantastic episode of Raw. No, we want to also get into last night's Tuesday night's NXT, which was a special episode deemed the Great American Bash. No, the opening match here was Pete Dunne versus Trick Williams. What did you think of the opening match, and how'd you feel about Dunne and Trick Williams going at it here?
Yeah, there's a Great American Bash Week 2 happened last night. There's only a few things I want to get through on that show because there wasn't too much going on, just a couple conclusions to week 1. Pete Dunne versus Trick Williams is one of the matches that I had that I want to speak about. Trick looked a lot better this week. He looked lighter on his feet and more explosive on impact, so I'm glad to see that. Trick is still someone that I'm looking forward to impressing me in the future. Right now he doesn't really do it for me. I know he has a lot of fans on his side, but I'm just not one of them. I don't see the special, that little bit of special that I need from him. I still don't see it yet, but he's definitely improving in my eyes. I'm excited to see him go through. Pete Dunne, I think we can call him the biggest hater of the year. He's just on both shows hating on Sheamus and on Trick and beating them up. So I always love seeing more Pete Dunne. He's a master of joint manipulation, and I love it when the show highlights that kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought this match was okay. I don't think it was anything too special. I want to know how long we're gonna keep Pete Dunne going back and forth between NXT and the bigger brand though.
For sure. I was just glad that we got a Pete Dunne match and actually have him wrestle because, as you said, the master of joint manipulation. He is someone who is fun in the ring. And he's sort of like that strong style type wrestling where he's gonna be in a hard hitting match whoever he gets in the ring with. Someone that I want to see him actually wrestle that I noted here that I think would mesh extremely well with his style is Ilya Dragunov. I'm not sure if we've
Mm-hmm.
gotten that in the past. I'm unaware. You might be aware if we've already had that match, but I haven't seen it. So would love to see that happen on WWE television on a Monday Night Raw post this Pete Dunne Sheamus debacle. But no, I thought this was a solid match. I actually thoroughly enjoyed this one from start to finish. There was a few close calls here. The crowd really fucked with it because they were getting this is awesome chance.
Mm-hmm.
I was very surprised to actually see Dunn win, but I was happy about it because I think he needs it more than a Trick Williams. And we're gonna start to see Trick sort of get frustrated, and as he makes his way back to the NXT championship picture. And no, you're right. I think Trick still needs a little bit of more work in the ring when it comes to his actual wrestling ability. But he's over as anyone else on that roster, and that entrance, the whoop that Trick, is as popular as ever. I do enjoy it. I love the Booker T ad libs. Compares himself to the Migos almost. But no, thought it was a good way to start that show there.
Another match I wanted to highlight was the Ren Sinclair versus Kendall Gray, because we have an ongoing story there where Ren Sinclair wants to be part of what do I always blank on this name? No Quarter Catch Club, right?
No quarter catch crew.
No Quarter Catch. There we go. Um, she finally made it in. She finally convinced Dempsey to let her in, but only with the caveat because the Don overheard that she needed help from No Quarter and they weren't willing to provide it. So the Don set out a kind of a challenge. He said, "If she wins, I will give you a Heritage Cup match next week." So Dempsey had to kind of oblige, and she ended up winning her match, making her an official member of No Quarter. This was exciting. I'm kind of interested in seeing where No Quarter goes from here because, like I said, Dempsey showed out during the Bloodsport match, so I'm definitely keeping an eye on where his career goes from here. Ren is someone that's definitely both Ren and Kendall are two females that have impressed me over the past couple of weeks. Their floor game is insane, and I kind of wish the stud line on the main roster would adapt that kind of fighting in the ring because it lends itself so well, and I feel like they're a group that can present that better than anyone else with their MMA backgrounds. Here in Ren and Kendall, I guess both of them are collegiate wrestlers. So seeing them do that mat game and for the crowd to actually be in it was refreshing because when that happens, it normally goes very slipped by. People get bored, they start chanting, "This is boring." But the crowd during NXT was definitely into this match, and I'm excited to see more Ren and Quarter Catch in the future.
Oh, you summarized that one pretty well. I thought this was one of the quicker matches of the night. I would say, but I think the ultimate goal was just to have Ren Sinclair win. So in order for her to make Charlie Dempsey's no quarter cash crew, which is what happened, and they ended there. But thought it was a great, a fun match to watch.
Another point this week was a little bit we got a little bit of Joe and Joe action. Joe Hendry finally made his appearance on one-on-one competition versus Joe Coffey. This match was good. It shows that Coffey has amazing talent in the ring and that they trust him backstage because they allowed him to lead in a feud with someone new like Joe Hendry. He really got everything going at the beginning of the feud, being upset with Joe and then leading up to a singles match. I think Joe was very professional in not letting the popularity of Joe Hendry get him down. And for that, Mr. Coffey, I applaud you. Joe finally reported to the PC, and you could kind of tell he's looking a little lighter on his feet. He looks like he knows the protocol going into a match now, at least for WWE standards. They're not very much different from TNA, but WWE does have a certain style that they go for. I think he just needs a little bit more time in the PC so that he could clean those lifts because he does struggle on them from time to time. But other than that, he's looking good, and it looks like he issued an open challenge for next week on NXT.
Yeah, no, Joe Hendry actually surprised me when I was watching this match because this was only the second Joe Henry match I got to see. I saw him at the TNA Slammiversary earlier this summer, and that was a 6-man match, so not too much of the individual of Joe Hendry got to be shown there. Thought he performed well there though, and seeing him in a one-on-one match against Joe Coffey, I thought this was a fun way to introduce his in-ring ability to the NXT crowd because I'm sure this was the first time a lot of people got to see him wrestle. But he was this was a fun match. Joe Hendry looked strong. There was a hilarious spot where Joe Hendry had grabbed a steel chair and he threw it to to Joe Coffey's teammates, which are known as Gallus, if I'm not mistaken, and he placed himself on the announce table to make it seem like they actually had hit him. And then that's when the ref had turned around and he kicked him out of the ring. So that was like an ode to Eddie Guerrero. I know he used to do that shit a lot. So I thought that was very funny, and he did it well. So Joe has I think he's done the hardest part, right? And he's gotten the crowd extremely on his side. I haven't seen a new wrestler come on to the NXT the way Joe Henry has and be as over as he is. From everyone singing his song, clapping, swinging their hands side to side. He's as over can be. And to see him, as you said, get that work in the performance center and build on his in-ring ability is going to be great to see roster sooner rather than later. But for now, he'll continue to go for that NXT championship belt, which I'm sure will be placed on him in a feud with him and Ethan Page in the near future when NXT moves to the CW.
Speaking of Ethan Page, he finally got his hands on Oro this week. I didn't go fuck about this match. Um, Ethan Page, all ego, more like Ethan Page, all given to him. This guy fucking stinks. I can't stand his ass. The heel hit is good. I get it. Don't get me wrong. Um, but he wrestles the way a creator wrestler using stock moves at 2 and 2K wrestles. This dude just, it's every basic move in the book and it's not even impressive. Oro isn't any better. His gear yells look at me, but his performance screams break time. The only redeeming part of this match, at least for me, was that Oro brought out my boo Jakar Jackson out there and I was able to see her for a little bit. But in all seriousness, these two at the end of the match kind of picked it up. Oro picked it up, but I think it was just a little too late for me. I don't need to see all your big moves at the end of the match. Spread them out so that the match is more interesting, at least for a viewer. That's what I like to see. And Ethan, the one thing I'll say about Ethan is he's one hell of a seller. Every time he gets hit with a big move, that man knows how to fucking sell that shit. But yeah, this match was boring. One of the key points that I did want to highlight was the ref using his discretion on the count out when they clearly went past 10. I think that's great. I think more refs should be able to use discretion when it comes to matters like this because you didn't want this to end in a disqualification. You wanted a clear winner, and I think the ref allowed that.
Yeah, no, listen, I watched this match. This was my second time watching Ethan Page wrestle. First time watching Oro Mensah wrestle. I didn't think it was as bad as you made it seem. I can understand how someone like Ethan Page is boring to you though, with the 2K generated moves. Comparison there, he definitely didn't have like any moves that were special to him that made me say wow or raise my eyebrows a bit. He was very like flat in terms of his move set. Hopefully they work on that with him in the performance center
Let me
because
ask
he
you
is the
this.
champion.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. You said you've watched 2 matches with him. What's his finisher?
The ego's edge. It's a nod to Razor Ramon. You thought you had me.
Oh, I
know,
did. I did think I had you. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, bro, I can't even tell you. I've seen this motherfucker wrestle since he came back or since he debuted, whatever you want to call it, because I don't know if he was in this before. But yeah. I can't tell you what the fuck his finishing move is. I can't tell you a string of moves that he can hit.
The only reason I know his finishing moves because it's his name and I saw it happen last night. So I thought it was a solid Razor's Edge. You know, Damian Priest does it. Ethan Page does it. I think Damian Priest does it way better than Ethan Page. But no, it was the Ego's Edge. I thought it was a solid match. It was funny to me, like you said, when they went outside of the ring, the ref uses discretion, didn't count him out. Ethan had hit two nasty power bombs onto the picnic table that was placed by the ramp on Oro Mensa, and that's when he ultimately had the greatest advantage and took him into the ring to hit the Ego's Edge and win the match. But no, I would agree. I think his move set is a little generic. Hopefully they work on that. I wasn't familiar with Oro Mensa. That was my first time watching him. I actually thought he may have outperformed Ethan Page in terms of selling. I thought he was selling fantastically for Ethan Page there. But no, it was definitely the weaker match of the night. I enjoyed Joe Hendry versus Joe Coffey more. I enjoyed the Dunn versus Trick Williams match more, and in the Kalani Jordan Tatum Paxley match, I enjoyed more, and of course the main event. So yeah, probably the weakest match of the night. Not looking back at it.
Yeah, and then finally for the main event, we had the biggest shock of them all. I didn't see this fucking coming at all. I seriously thought the Rascals were going to take this shit home, but it looks like Axiom and Frazier had other plans.
Yeah, so this was MSK versus Axiom and Nathan Frazier for the NXT Tag Championship. This was a fun match. Anytime the Rascals are involved, and Wesley super athletic, high flyer. So it's always fun to watch him perform on TV. But I will disagree with you on the point where you didn't see this coming. I kind of saw this coming because earlier in the night they had a promo, a video segment, an interview segment with Wesley and MSK, where Wesley was telling the interview like, "Hey, you know, I started off with these two guys here, then they had to go, and I was on by myself, and I didn't know what to do. I was alone, I was lonely, I was sort of depressed. But then I found myself winning the North American Championship. That brought me some happiness. I lost it, but now these guys are back, and I just absolutely love my brothers." It was like a very loving promo, just him explaining why he loves these two other teammates in MSK. And that's when a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, oh, the main event is the tag championships. Why wasn't the main event Joe Hendry versus Joe Coffey? Or why wasn't the main event the NXT championship, Ethan Page versus Oro Mensa? There has to be a fucking reason. That was my thought going into it. And I had kind of predicted that he was going to turn here. And when the match ended, of course, uh, Wesley was they were hugging in the middle of the ring. One of the teammates has stepped away. I was like, oh, he's about to either he's gonna turn or Wesley's gonna turn. I didn't see MSK breaking up, so Wesley hit him with a super kick and then like just started throwing them into the fucking barricade. He had a crazy heel turn. I would say it was almost like the likes of when Finn Balor turned. Was it Adam Cole that he turned on? Oh no, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa DIY in NXT. Yup, like years ago when he hit that nasty Pele kick. If you haven't seen that, make sure to check that out. Finn Balor turning on DIY in NXT. Nasty Pele kick that Finn hit. This reminded me of that moment, and I thought it was a great way to end the show. Wesley as a heel isn't something that we've seen on NXT television. He's been beloved by the fans, and he got the "you're an asshole" chant thrown at him. Fantastic heel heat brought to you by Shawn Michaels and that production team. He did a great job of turning Carmelo Hayes heel when he switched on Trick Williams. As we were building up to the road to WrestleMania, he did the same thing here. So I'm excited to see what Wesley does as a heel on television, and of course how he continues to mess with MSK.
Yeah, this match was exactly what you imagined it would be. It was a spot monkey fest. Now, saying it like that, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like over the years I've become more and more it's become more and more featured to have these spot monkey matches on cards, and I've grown a little desensitized to a lot of the bigger spots that once would have had my jaw on the floor. That being said, this was still an entertaining match to watch. Both teams were incredibly athletic. Personally, I was cheering for the tag champs because I like them a little bit more. I really have my eye on Axiom because there's a couple lucha bros coming into the WWE, and I would love to see a lucha faction. I think he would fit perfectly into that. Um, Rascals or MSK. They kind of reminded me of kind of like a millennial esque New Day. So I think that's why I wasn't really into the Rascals. Um, but this match, like I said, it didn't end up going the way I thought. I really did have Axiom and Frazier splitting up just because of the turmoil that they had been showing throughout the show. Um, so I was kind of shocked when they lost it. But like I said, I didn't see West turning at all. You saw the writing on the wall, but I was looking more at the writing for Axiom and Frazier. So I guess I might have missed when they showed that Wesley was planning his turn, or at least teasing his turn. But yeah, I mean, hey, Wesley going heel was not on my bingo card for this year, but Wes, you got my attention. Now run with it.
Yeah, I think he has the attention of a lot of people now in NXT in general with the partnership that they have with TNA. They're continuing to build the matches, these feuds, as they head also to a new network in the CW starting October 1st, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, great! Great American Bash was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed watching that NXT episode last night. Well, did you? And how? What were your final thoughts on the show in general?
I liked Great American Bash. Both weeks were great. I think the second week was definitely a stronger showing. I'm gonna give this, let's say, 3 Joe Hendrys out of 5. I think the show was good, but it could have used a little bit more structure and the way that these matches were set up. Like you said, I thought Joe Hendry, even the NXT championship match would have been last, but instead they went with this. So I feel like if they would have structured it a little bit better, moved some matches around, I think the show would have been a knockout. But not to say it wasn't good. It was definitely a great show.
100%. And while we're closing on the NXT show here, just want to announce that NXT is actually announced that they will be traveling to the Allstate Arena in Chicago on Tuesday, October 1st, and the Enterprise Center in St. Louis on Tuesday, October 8th, as part of its highly anticipated broadcast television debut on the CW network. They make their live debut on the CW on Tuesday, October 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern. What was interesting about this as well is that they've already announced that CM Punk will be showing up on the first episode of NXT on the CW, which is October 1st, and Randy Orton will be showing up the following week on October 8th, since they'll be in his hometown in St. Louis. The episode that actually lined up, the NXT episode that actually lined up against AEW directly, was fucking sick. Because that's when Shawn Michaels called all the big dogs over. We had John Cena, Cody Rhodes, and The Undertaker, and Paul Heyman show up on that episode that was directly up against AEW Dynamite. They're definitely doing this shit on purpose, letting the B company know who the boss is here when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. And I think there's going to be a few more surprises on October the 8th, being that they're competing directly against their number one competitor there.
Yeah, definitely. I want to get into the final segment of the show. Unless you had something else you want to ask me.
Nope, that's all wrapped up on my end there.
Cool. Let's get into the final segment of the show, which we like to call Spot Monkeys. Spot Monkeys is the part of the show where me and Rob go through notable events in the wrestling world that do not pertain to the main show recaps. I have a couple things I want to talk about, but I know you have one giant piece of news that you want to get to.
Yeah, I want you had touched upon it a little bit towards the end of the NXT coverage with Axiom there. And luchadors. But there are now reports that the Lucha Brothers are now no longer looking to re-sign with AEW, and they claim that they've had talks with the WWE per Fightful Select. They have also reported that AEW wants to re-sign them, but the process is getting delayed by Phoenix and Penta. And over the past few weeks, it became evident to AEW that the tag team weren't looking to re-sign with the company. Would you be excited to see Penta El Zero Miedo and Ray Phoenix in the WWE? And do you think if they sign, they'll go straight to NXT or the main?
There's no way that I'm not excited for this. I think Penta is probably the greatest luchador currently active on multiple rosters. I think he's a phenomenal talent that WWE is about to acquire if it's true that they're going over there. I would love it if both of them came over. Like I said, I hope to see a future Lucha faction because I think that's something that would even surpass the LWO in fan appreciation in the Latino side. So yeah, this is definitely something I'll be keeping my ear on, and we will definitely be reporting on as we hear more because these are two great, phenomenal wrestlers that, if true, the WWE is going to have some great matches to book in the near future.
Yeah, and I think they're continuing to work on building their tag division that sort of needs new and refreshed teams and just established teams already. We have reported that the Motor City Machine Guns is another team that may be joining the WWE roster soon. Adding them and the Lucha Bros at the same time will elevate the tag division to a whole new level and bring some more validity to it. So excited to see if they do come to the WWE. I would bet that they actually skip over NXT and just go straight to the main roster, being that they're already so well known when it comes to professional wrestling and they have a great history there. And they were pivotal components to the AEW roster when AEW was so popular in the early 2020s. So no, this will be a big move for the WWE if they're able to sign them and sign the Motor City Machine Guns, and we'll continue to bring that breaking news to you once we find out if they are officially signed with the WWE or if they officially have decided to part ways with All Elite Wrestling. I'll let you take over Spot Monkeys from here.
Yeah, so I finally went down. I had brought this up a couple weeks ago to you. I finally got a chance to check out the WWE Vault, which is a YouTube channel that they put up and have sneakily been adding matches into it, matches that we've never seen before. They actually have it listed in the title, never seen, so you could see which matches they are. I actually got to see one unseen match, and I got to revisit a match that just kind of went along with the theme for the week since we are celebrating Bray Wyatt's life and the introduction of the Wyatt Six. I got up on that channel. They had Kane versus Wyatt, versus Bray Wyatt in a Ring of Fire match. I had forgot that this was Bray's debut match. This was crazy. It was during SummerSlam 2013. Um, this match was phenomenal. If you haven't watched it in a while, go back and watch it. The shit that WWE was trying to attempt back then was crazy. Having the ring just surrounded by fire bars that lit up fire. Insane stuff. Great match between Bray Wyatt and Kane. And then I also got to see a match that was unseen. Um, it was between Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas versus the Usos and FCW. At this point, I thought it was interesting. At this point, Jay was actually going as Juicy Uso, and I thought that was actually kind of funny. Thank God he dropped that shit because that shit does not sound great. I definitely recommend watching both of those matches. They're up for free on the WWE Vault YouTube channel. And I actually did get around to finally watch the Damian Priest documentary that they were promoting for after SummerSlam. I love these things. They definitely show you a more intimate back stage look at the goings through big pay-per-views. On this one, they kind of focused it more on Damian Priest and the current WrestleMania. You got to learn a lot about Damian Priest life previous WWE, following him to Ring of Honor, and then inevitably NXT and the main roster. Like I said, these things are always awesome. If you want that behind the peak look at what happens through WWE and their plans on forming a feud, building up a superstar, this is definitely a great one to watch.
I'm glad you informed me about that Bray Wyatt and Kane match. I'll have to check that out on YouTube as well. I was unaware that they used to call, or Jey Uso's original name was, it was Usi
Juicy,
Juice,
Juicy Uso. So they
Usi
announced
Uso.
them Jay and Juicy Uso, and it seemed
Nah,
like that was their first match in FCW. They're very young. They're both like super skinny and shit. But I thought it was kind of funny that he was going as Juicy. I was like, who the fuck is Juicy?
that's hilarious. And for those of you who don't know, FCW, formerly known as Florida Championship Wrestling, is now NXT. But that's when they were known as FCW back in the day. No, check those matches out that Jesse had the opportunity to watch over the weekend and during his free time. And I'll have to definitely check out that Damian Priest documentary. I've heard a lot of great things about it. Speaking of documentary, the last note here that I have is following Becky Lynch's WWE Legends documentary, which premiered on A&E this past Sunday on SummerSlam weekend. She sent out a cryptic Instagram post where she captioned, "It's been a hell of a career. Being the man for all of you is an honor. Being the mom for her is a privilege." And posted a picture with her and Seth Rollins' daughter. Do you think this means a potential retirement on her end?
Well, that's what. As soon as I saw her post it, because I think I got it like maybe 30 minutes after she posted, I text you. I was like, did Becky Lynch just retire on IG?" And you were like, "There's no way." Which I would I agree. I don't think that she would just do it on IG. I would imagine that they would give her a huge spot on a weekly program. But I don't know, dude. I feel like she might be on the way out. She's definitely taking up this mom role, and her body in general, I had pointed out, has completely changed. I don't know if I could say that it's not ring ready, but it definitely doesn't look like she's been a ring training, to say. Not that she looks bad, but she's definitely smaller than she was when we last saw her. So it'll be interesting to see in the next couple of months if we see her come back to TV to return as a wrestler, or if it's just going to be a final farewell.
I doubt that she's retiring now. I can see her being on, the other half of her career. Towards the end. I don't think she's gonna retire anytime soon, though. I think she has a few more years left in the tank. We've seen Charlotte Flair be off TV for what is now about a year and a half. I can see Becky Lynch taking some time off and a long time off, maybe a year and a half, even 2 years, and then making her return when no one expects it at all. And that way we just appreciate her last run, if it is her last run, a little bit more, or if she has a few more runs left in her. But I definitely think she has some more matches on her end that she's gonna want to be a part of. We'll just have to wait and see. But no, phenomenal week of wrestling so far. We of course still have AEW Dynamite tonight to cover, and then of course Friday Night SmackDown, which has already announced the return of not only mine, not only yours, King Jess, but everybody's tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
One's up in the
Must see
air.
television. Yes, the ones are up in the air. Must see television this Friday on August 9th, when Roman Reigns makes his TV return to Friday Night SmackDown. Can't wait to see how that plays out, and we will be covering all of that, all of Friday Night SmackDown, and of course AEW Dynamite on our Sunday weekend recap show, which we will be uploading on YouTube this upcoming Sunday. But thank you all for listening to this week's Midweek Madness recap. We're excited to see you guys again on Sunday. Thank you so much for your time. King Jess, any last words that you may have?
No, just thank you for listening to the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. We hope to. I'm really hoping that this Friday is as good as this Monday, because if this Monday is to show what's coming for the tribal chief, then this Friday is going to be crazy. So I'm very looking forward to SmackDown.
100%. And if you have any thoughts or ideas on where Roman Reigns is going to focus his efforts on this week, make sure to comment below. Do you think he's going to face Solo Sikoa in the Bloodline? Do you think he turns his attention back to Cody Rhodes? Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts on this week's Monday Night Raw with the Judgment Day and the Wyatt Six on the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and turn the bell on for notifications. And we will see you guys this Sunday. Thank you for your time.
Peace. See you on Sunday.